Welcome back to this presentation about why desktop Linux is not popular. Stay tuned to watch all slides. Desktop Linux isn't popular because of its perceived lack of user-friendliness, a smaller library of mainstream applications, less hardware and software vendor support, and a lack of widespread marketing compared to Windows and macOS. Unlike established operating systems pre-installed on most devices, users often face a more complex setup and a fragmented ecosystem with numerous choices for distributions and software, leading to a use-it-or-lose-it cycle of adoption. User experience and learning curve. Complexity. Linux can have a steep learning curve, requiring users to perform tasks via the command line, which is inconvenient and can lead to system breakage if not done correctly. Fragmented app installation. Users must rely on package managers, which can have outdated versions or other formats like app images or Flatpaks, lacking the seamless background auto-updates of apps on other platforms. Recovery difficulties. Recovering from issues on Linux often involves obscure commands, bootloader configuration, or even full reinstalls, which is not straightforward for the average user. Software and hardware compatibility. Application availability. Essential professional and industry standard software such as Adobe products or AutoCAD often isn't available natively on Linux, with alternatives lacking features or compatibility with Windows/macOS tools. Hardware support. While improving, Linux can still have issues with hardware support, requiring users to deal with firmware, drivers, and kernel modules for basic functions like Wi-Fi or touch screens. Lack of pre-installation. Most retail computers don't come with Linux pre-installed, forcing users to manually install it and making it an option only for those who are willing to take the time to do so. Ecosystem and marketing. Lack of a single entity. Unlike Windows, Microsoft, and macOS, Apple, Linux doesn't have a single corporate entity with a large marketing budget to promote it to the masses. Many choices. The sheer number of choices for Linux distributions, desktop environments like GNOME and KDE, and other components can be overwhelming for new users who prefer a more unified experience. Industry inertia. Schools and workplaces continue to use Windows and its associated software, creating familiarity and perpetuating industry standards that favor proprietary operating systems. Despite Linux's dominance in servers, supercomputers, and mobile devices via Android, it has not achieved significant desktop market share primarily due to a lack of pre-installation on new PCs, software compatibility issues, hardware driver problems, and intense fragmentation within the Linux community. Reasons for low adoption. Lack of pre-installation. The vast majority of consumers buy computers with either Microsoft Windows or macOS already installed. For most people, the pre-installed operating system is the one they will use for the entire life of the device. Few are tech-savvy enough to consider installing a new OS. Application compatibility. While Linux's open-source application ecosystem has grown, many mainstream proprietary applications, such as the Adobe Creative Suite and Microsoft Office, do not have native Linux versions. This is a deal-breaker for many professionals and students who rely on these programs for their jobs or schoolwork. Gaming issues. The vast majority of PC games are developed for Windows, and many are incompatible with Linux. While projects like Proton and Wine have made significant strides, gaming on Linux remains less reliable. Some online multiplayer games also rely on kernel-level anti-cheat software that does not function on Linux. Hardware and driver issues. A reliable JustWorks hardware experience is a major selling point for Windows and macOS. While Linux has improved significantly, users may still encounter issues with newly released hardware, particularly graphics cards and wireless adapters. The burden of testing drivers across many Linux distributions falls on hardware manufacturers, who dedicate fewer resources to Linux compared to Windows. User experience and fragmentation. Overwhelming choice. The immense variety of Linux distributions, distros, desktop environments, and software packaging systems, like Snap, Flatpak, and AppImage, can overwhelm new users. This fragmented ecosystem contrasts with the more standardized and unified experience of Windows or macOS. Inconsistent interfaces. Because there are so many distributions, A user can experience an inconsistent look and feel between applications or be left without a feature-complete Wayland display server if they don't use a mainstream desktop environment like KDE or GNOME. Terminal reliance. While modern Linux distros are more user-friendly than ever, command line interfaces are still necessary for certain tasks and troubleshooting. This can be intimidating for casual users who just want a computer that works. Lack of corporate interest and marketing. Unlike Microsoft and Apple, Linux is not backed by a single corporate entity pushing a unified vision with a large marketing budget. Linux development is primarily driven by companies who focus on server-side products and a community of open-source volunteers. What the Linux community could do. While the challenges are significant, some believe progress could be made by greater developer collaboration, reducing fragmentation by having desktop developers agree on more universal standards could make Linux a more attractive platform for third-party software developers. Refined marketing. Focusing marketing efforts on the benefits of Linux for non-technical users could help dispel the image of it being only for hackers and programmers. Pre-installed hardware. Following the success of devices like the Steam Deck and Chromebooks, which sell Linux-based systems as pre-built appliances, could get more people to use Linux without the barrier of installing it themselves.